Morning, everyone. This is Steve with Real Progressives. I've come to believe that knowledge is divisive. Knowledge in and of itself defines the difference between ignorance and knowledge. Knowledge is power. And when you understand that you can do things that are better than you did before, when you understand that you can have things that are nicer than you had before, and you realize that you can lead a more full life than you did before, and you have an awakening, and you realize that the chains that held you back before are not chains that have to be there. They're chains that someone said, don't shake the cart because if you do, it's divisive. And so what do you do now that you know that we can do better? Do you just accept a little death? Do you just accept a little pain? What is the role once you do have knowledge? Once you have knowledge, you have responsibility. That's the problem with knowledge. Knowledge is not something that you can just put in a jar and put by the bed and ignore. Because if you can do that, then you don't have the knowledge. Because knowledge breeds wisdom. And when you know better, you should do better. For me, one of the most important things that came to me was this understanding of how the monetary system worked. It became so incisive in my brain because I had so many bad thoughts, so many thoughts that were incorrect. And I had so many thoughts with the new way I realized how things really worked that caused me to think in an entirely different direction. I was being torn apart from the inside with this knowledge. It broke me down. It made me question everything. Because once you realize that we could have saved so many lives, once you realize that the suffering you're going through is because someone else committed an act of violence against the body of the nation, against the people. When you realize these things are unnecessary, what do you do with that? What happens when the rest of the people are still asleep? Do you just sleep on this too? Do you just accept more death? No, you have now been given eyes to see. You've now been given ears to hear. And you've been given a mouth to speak. It is impossible to sit back when you have real knowledge and not speak bold truth. To dumb that down creates a whole nother generation of people around you that don't get to have that awakening because you've chosen to sell your soul to ignorance, to easiness, to just going with the flow. Divisiveness by its very nature is saying, hey, I'm done suffering. I'm done dealing with unnecessary pain in my life that could be cut out, that could be fixed. And when people haven't caught up to that, you have by definition become divisive. That's divisive to stand on knowledge that you have. It's divisive. If you're a coward, and there are many out there that are cowards. If you're a joiner, and there are many out there who are joiners. If you're weak, and there are many weak people out there. If you lack a spine to stand up for the things that you know to be true, once you know better, you should do better. If you lack those things to be able to pull that off, it's going to be divisive when you see someone who does have a spine, who does stay the course, who doesn't waver around and deviate. You're naturally going to call that individual divisive. But when you know that if I wash my hands before I do surgery, that I prevent germs from getting into the patient's body, and I prevent any kind of disease or bacteria or germs or infections from getting into that individual's cut after I have washed my hands and ensured that I'm handling things properly. If the other doctors don't want to wash their hands and they keep getting patients sick and dying, and standing up and saying, we must wash our hands, and then them backbiting on you saying, no, it's not what the cause is. It's divisive to say you're killing people by not washing your hands. That's divisive. Would you call that bad? They have tried to outlaw, basically. They've tried to wipe out what they consider divisive. I had to block somebody who had been a friend of mine for a long time because they worthlessly came out and said something was divisive and ignorant, when in fact it was anything but ignorant. It was full-on intelligent, full-on knowledgeable, full-on in the know, and unequivocating. So the new way that they judge whether you're being divisive or not is if you're not equivocating, if you're standing firm, if you're saying this is what I'm demanding, if you're saying this is the way it should be and this is the way I would like, that's divisive. I want you to understand what you're up against. When someone says that's divisive, they're telling you to put your brain in your back pocket and join the herd. That's what they're telling you to do. That's not my tribe, folks. I'm just letting you know. I'll be an army of one before I join up with people that tell you to stop being divisive. Knowledge is power. And the only way other people are going to gain the knowledge is if that information is steadily put before them. You know, it was raised to me, I was talking about how I hate seeing equivocation when we're all trying to push this boulder up a hill, and then people check out midway through the hill, and eventually the boulder rolls down. Sisyphus, right? Once again, we're sitting there pushing a boulder up a hill, and people keep jumping off. Oh, well, we should equivocate. No, it doesn't have to be Medicare for all. It could be some other thing. Oh, it doesn't have to be MMT. It really only can be whatever we want it to be. And you keep jumping off the hill, and eventually the boulder rolls back down. And these people break their arm patting themselves on the back for not being divisive. And we end up in the exact same spot with the exact same problems. And the establishment wins yet again. And we lose, as always. Divisiveness is a slur. It is a slur meant to shut you down. It is a slur meant to keep you from speaking your truth. It is a slur meant to keep us locked in formation. The lemming brigade will move off the cliff in 1, 2, 3, dive. That is what don't be divisive means. If you stand up, they're going to bang you down with a hammer. They don't want you to know what's going on. They want to keep you down. And these people crying about divisiveness are the ultimate destroyers. They are the ultimate destroyers. They have told you to shut up, forget what you know, and go along to get along. And to hell with whoever dies in the process. That, my friends, is not okay. You want to call me divisive? I'll own it, because that means I got knowledge. And that means I'm refusing to back down from that knowledge. If you lack knowledge, don't hate on the people that do have knowledge. Get your own knowledge. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, and I'm out of here. Have a good day.